our community here. Welcome everybody to February live training. But before we get going, let's just share some highlights. What's going on in your world, in your life? Talk to us. What are you working on? What are you excited about? Goals? How's the challenge going? I know a lot of you are just crushing it in the 20-day challenge. Somebody's calling from somewhere. That's weird. Almost never happens.
Don't answer it.
I'm not going to answer it. I almost hit the answer button. Okay. Share some stuff. You can throw it in the chat box or you can just jump on the mic. Like, what is going on in your lives?
We got back from Thailand.
Oh, that's right. You guys, we went to Thailand. It was epic. It was our couples trip. It was so fun. Had amazing discussions and great adventures. We got to play with slobbery elephants. Rachel got to feed 2 elephants at a time. It was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
We went beaches and beautiful places and amazing people and great food. It was so fun.
And our kids did awesome. We left them alone.
Oh,
for 2 weeks.
And they rocked it. The 4 older ones, they work together so well. They're amazing. Okay, come on. Somebody's got to share something. I know you guys aren't dead here. Like, what are you doing? What are you working on? What are you excited about? Come on, anything. Rachel and I are just going to sit here and stare at you until you...
I'm not.
Actually. Oh, you're not? You're not in on this?
No.
This will never work if we're not in this together. Anything fun, exciting? Nice. Yes, thanks.
Purposeful living. Daily
goals. Which I was literally checking mine off this morning again. It just feels so good to be intentional about what you're trying to do, isn't it? Man, it feels fantastic. And the little things make a big, big difference. Love it. Okay. Well, if nobody else is going to share, I know you guys are all doing awesome stuff. There you go. Oh, nice. There we go. Started learning Japanese and Chinese. Whoa. Okay.
That's
some
cool.
of us have to seriously level up there because one of those would be hard, but both of them, nicely done. That's Japanese and Chinese. That's great.
Now that Asia's shut down for travel.
Yeah. So we love Mongolia, and we are just like, we still are hopefully taking our family to Mongolia. I got a message from a friend in Mongolia this morning. They have shut down the whole country. Like, they closed all schools, no public events. Nobody's allowed to travel even between the provinces, and most flights coming in, especially anything from Asia, no go. That's like, they have shut down that country. It's crazy things are happening.
Learning
nice.
Greek.
What?
And decluttering. I like decluttering.
Nice. Greek. What a great one. That's awesome, Tony. Very cool. Laura is excited to be here for the training first time today.
Woo-hoo!
Welcome. Yeah. Those of you joining us is so fun. Okay. Well, let's dive in. Oh, first.
Should we do prizes?
Yeah. We're going to do winners for last month.
Late
on that one.
Because we went to Thailand.
We did the accounting. I guess we can call it accounting. Did really well. So we got winners, and we had 2 people tie for first place. Yeah. So we have 2 first place winners and a second and a third. So we'll do that, and then of course next week, February's challenge ends on Saturday. So then everyone turns them in, and then we'll do winners for that. So
drum roll, please. First, we're supposed to start with
third place.
Third place is Mindy McLean.
Wait. Oh yeah, Mindy.
Right there.
And she is on a cruise with her husband in Mexico right now. Nice. So we'll have to tell her about this later.
Second place, Elisa.
Or is it Alyssa? Alyssa or Eliza? I can't remember. Alyssa. But you win.
Huh.
And correct us how we mispronounce your name. Sorry.
And that's, okay, third place is Mindy gets to choose a product she doesn't have. Second place, Elisa gets a free month to this group. And our tied first place winners, you're supposed to do the drum roll, is Sterling Cheney and Travis Lee.
Yeah, nice. They just were crushing it.
They won a free coaching session with probably Greg. They like Greg.
Everyone likes you too, babe.
I know, but they like you especially.
Okay, awesome. Love it, you guys. So stay after the challenges, and we're starting on Sunday. So Sunday is March 1st. This whole next challenge is all about parenting.
Yes. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. You guys, you should see. I wish you could kind of like see a day in the life here of
How
like
nerdy we are.
we're so nerdy about this. Like for weeks, we've been like, oh, we're gonna share that in the parenting month. Oh, this is so good. We're like gathering experiences and comments, things our kids do and don't do, and things we see at the park or Walmart. You're like, oh, that needs to go in the parenting month. What? This is like crazy stuff. Okay, so let's dive in. Oh, and also just a little heads up here. I know lots of you have questions and lots of great questions. So we're willing
Please
to stay.
ask them.
Yeah, even as we're going through, ask questions, but at the end, like throw them out. If you got questions, let's hit it. Now the sun keeps, as the clouds come over, it'll get dark in here and then light. We'll keep adjusting it. But please ask your questions. Let's dive in.
Okay, I don't know. Did you get my email?
I did. It was
so good. So you know what we're talking about today. That's good. Okay, so basically, we're going to be just digging into the whole idea of leading your family instead of just managing it, right? Like we want to be leaders in our homes, not just the managers of homes. Like managing your family is important, and managing all the things there are to do, the meals and the chores and all that is important and necessary. But more than just managing, we want to lead, meaning we want to set the example. We want
Wait, pause. So while you're doing that, I want to ask you guys and throw it in the chat box here. What would be the difference for you in your mind? Because we're all going to have kind of different definitions around this. What would be the difference in your mind between a manager and a leader? Let's start distinguishing that, getting some clarity on that for you. So we know that there is a distinction. There is a difference between managing the home and family and leading in the home and family. So throw that in chat box, kind of capture your thoughts. And if you're doing some journal writing here, capture that as we move forward, because I want to hear from you as well. Sorry, totally interrupted you.
Yes. So anyways, leading, not managing. So along with that idea, we're going to discuss increasing your level of influence, right? With your family. That includes with your spouse, with your children. We kind of joked last time about, training your spouse. But that goes in with this idea of influence. And influence is kind of this word now where people use it for, influencers on YouTube or Instagram, all these things, and whatever that means. We're talking about having real influence, like the ability to positively influence and lead your spouse and children, because that is the real key to creating an extraordinary family, is increasing your level of influence. Now, and we're also going to talk about systems, because of course none of this really happens without effective personal systems and family systems. All of this is a system. In fact, the thing Greg and I have been talking about lately is we all think, oh, there's no manual to marriage or parenting. And we're like, you know what? There is a manual. Like there really is a formula. And when you figure out what the formula is and you plug it in, parenting and marriage become almost easy. Okay.
And
not that they are
awesome.
easy, but it just becomes so simple, because you're like, oh, this is what's happening. That means this. Oh, that just happened. That means this. And it's like, we compare it now to like a science or math. Like you just plug in the pieces. Like this is what's happening. Here's the piece for that. It's a math problem. It's a science experiment.
It literally is an equation, and it's an equation. So awesome. So we're going along with 7 kids, and one of them does something. Rachel and I sit down and we're like, that kid seems to be struggling with this thing. Let's plug in this piece of the equation, and it works. It's awesome. Yes. And those are the tools and resources that we want to share that just work.
And the systems. So
let's
that's
read
introduction.
Read some of these quotes here. Or thoughts. This is really good. So let's see. A leader inspires. A manager just gives orders, right? Some of us in our houses, we get a little bit bossy. And let's be honest, sometimes that's needed. Let's just call it like, no, this is going to happen, people. But a leader is going to inspire. So true. Leading is planning for the future, not just controlling the present. Yes. Stephanie, I love that. Leadership is all about vision, right? Because if not, we're literally taking care of today, and we can't see past today or the weekend. right? And that gives us no vision or direction. We're just like perpetuating the problem. Let's keep going. Managing makes us too busy in the daily slog. Thank you for that word, Kayla. That's such a great word. It makes us too busy in the daily slog to lead kids toward big picture goals and values. And I love that one so much. And I think that's one of the things that this group is going to be unique and different, and is unique and different. There's a lot of parenting stuff out there, and there's a lot of marriage stuff. And I'm aware of it. I'm reading constantly and consuming. A lot of it feels like, to me, they're kind of straightening deck chairs on the Titanic.
Well, they're trying to manage the daily chaos. It's like, here's a strategy for managing the chaos. And we're like, how about we figure out how to
the big
eliminate
picture?
The chaos.
Like, where are you going? How are you going to make sure your kids are really successful adults?
Besides the fact that when you're doing that, we've talked about the pyramid before, and the pyramid of peace. When you're using little techniques or discipline strategies or all these other things, you're basically focusing on the top of the pyramid, which is trying to fix what's going wrong, instead of the rest of the bottom of the pyramid, which is helping things to go right and working with the underlying causes of things. Instead of dealing with symptom management, right, and trying to fix the symptoms or make the symptoms go away, just like with medicine, right? You're dealing with helping things go right and fixing the underlying causes so that the issues never actually become issues, because the underlying cause is resolved.
Hold on, let's make this real. Let's say you've got this nasty rash on your arm. And anybody ever had a nasty rash? Remember that? That's what I thought of. I'm like, oh no, not again. I have like PTSD because I led this backpacking trip into North Carolina, you guys. It's heavenly up there, by the way. And we were backpacking and we played capture the flag in the woods. It was the best. And like, that was awesome. And I got scratched up. I'm like, whatever, war wounds. Oh man.
Turns out it was poison oak.
And it was so bad. Weeks.
He looked like he had leprosy.
It was so bad.
Like 3 weeks.
I had to get like the strongest like steroid stuff. I was going crazy.
It was bad.
But what was interesting in that, and it made me think of this, is like, let's say you had this really bad rash and you went to the doctor and they gave you a cream and it went away for a couple of days, and then a couple of days later it just comes right back. And so you go to the doctor and he gives you the exact same cream. You put it on, it goes away, and then a few days later it comes back. And you're just this in perpetual symptom management. How would you feel after 3 or 4 times of going back and the doctor gives you the same thing that only works temporarily? Oh man, we'd all go kind of crazy with that, right? That's what Rachel's talking about. We'll do that sometimes in life and family and parenting. We're just taking care of the symptoms, and then just a little bit later, the problem comes back again.
Well, and to make this a little more real, because in your case, that was caused by something outside of you, poison sumac, and you needed that to fix it. But sometimes a rash is caused by something that's wrong in our bodies. Our bodies are off. There's something toxic. And so to bring this home, fixing that long term would be fixing internally what's off so that your body no longer creates a rash. That's kind of what we're talking about, is we want to fix the causes of misbehavior and irresponsibility and laziness and all of these other things, whatever your challenge is, right? Let's fix the cause, and then we're not just dealing with managing the symptoms, if that makes sense.
This is so good. Okay, I gotta celebrate here. Somebody in this group sent me an email this morning, and I seriously felt like dancing. She just shared, it was a huge celebration, so I want to share it here. She just said, she's like, I realized by going through the trainings this month about marriage that a lot of the frustrations and problems in my marriage were actually stories that I had been telling myself. Wow. And once I changed the story, I was able to shift the problem, right? Which was that's a huge triumph for all of us. A lot of the frustrations or troubles we're having literally come down to the stories that we're telling ourselves about it. And sometimes the story is the cause. So we'll get into that a little bit more.
Okay, so I just made a connection, which I'll just share. This is how we do it, right? So we're just going to do it this way. So in my mind, here's an example I can come up with of how this relates to parenting. We were at the park last week, and my 2 little girls were playing on the playground. And my kids love to climb up the slide.
I think
right?
every kid does.
I think every kid does. There's no problem with that in my mind. If they want to climb up the slide, great. You're learning some sort of skill. You're like, learning how to use your body. I don't know if this is Georgia. Maybe this is just parents. We've been, out of touch of American culture for a long time, but there were multiple parents at the playground that were getting upset at their kids for climbing up the slide. We don't do that. We don't climb up the slide. And I'm like, why? Why don't we climb up the slide? Like, I don't get that. They want to climb up the slide. They're learning to.
You should have stopped them. We're new to the South.
Yes.
Is this a rule here?
Why don't we climb? Now, this is one of those things. Now, I can understand if there's a child there that's trying to go down the slide. Yeah, don't climb up the slide. So you teach them, hey, if there's someone here and they're trying to go down the slide, be respectful and let them go down the slide. Don't climb up while they're going, right? That's a good rule. But just to have a hard and steady rule of don't climb up the slide. So basically, they're trying to discipline their child. And this comes back to like the questioning type thing. Like they're trying to discipline their child for something that I'm like, why? Why should that even be a thing you're disciplining them on? So we try to come up with things like, how do I get my kids to listen to me? How do I get them to do what I say? And sometimes maybe you shouldn't be telling them to do something like that. Like maybe you remove that story in your head about my child should not climb up the slide, and now you don't have a problem anymore. Now you don't have a discipline issue. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now on the other side, one of these same moms then took her child who was like 2 and forced her to climb up these steps so that she could do something hard and something that was good for her. Well, it resulted in a tantrum. And I'm like, the child would have learned the exact same thing you wanted them to learn by climbing up the slide, which they wanted to do. Right? So we have to learn to rethink these things. We have to rethink the rules and the stories in our head. Why? Why are we trying to discipline them for this thing? And is it really an issue? I could go on, but I'm not sure.
Let's go back. Okay, a couple more comments here in the chat. I've been thinking about example a lot lately.
Wait, did you miss some, or is that
nope, I get it. So okay. There are things I require of my kids, like going to bed on time, that I don't do. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's time to lead by example. Thank you for sharing that. That's actually one of the things that I've been thinking about lately and wanted to share today. And this is the way I wrote it out yesterday. If I don't live the message, then I suck as the messenger. Ooh. Jot that down, my friends. If I don't live the message, then I suck as the messenger. And that right there will undermine your influence almost more than anything else. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Of like, if I'm not living it, then your kids might not even articulate it. Your spouse might not articulate it, but subtly they're just going to feel like this, what you're saying really doesn't have that much power or force. You with me? Like it literally removes your power as the messenger. So thank you, Laura, for sharing that. That is so true. We've got to lead by example. Another one, Nathan says, managing seems to be about all the logistics, right? What I call the transactional things, getting things done.
Which needs to happen.
Has to happen. Leading seems to be more about helping situations and systems become better and more effective. Man, nailed it, brother. Love that. And then leaders model desired behaviors. Man, I love that. Love it, you guys. Love it. Okay, let's dive in.
Great. So should we start with increasing influence?
Yep. So first, I'm going to have to share some bad news, friends. Your influence is not automatic. Now, I fully understand that you think it should be.
Because you gave birth to them, dang it.
You carried that child Or like you have been raising that child, you changed diapers, you have provided for that little human being, you gave up your body, you gave up your sleep, you've sacrificed everything day and night,
And
and
they should listen to you just because
should
of that.
listen, right? And again, we've done that unbeknownst to them. They're just like, woo, whatever, open the fridge, as long as there's food in there, I'm good, right? But we think that we should be influential because of a position or a title.
Or because of what we've done that they don't appreciate, because they don't appreciate
They don't,
it.
and they're not cognizant of it. So let's all just settle in our minds right now that influence is not automatic. It has to be earned.
You don't have influence with your children just because you're their parent.
Just because you're the parent. That's where a lot of parents drop the ball, is they think, well, I'm the parent. You'll listen because I'm the parent. You'll do what I say because I'm the parent.
And that's not influence.
And that is not influence. That is not influence. So I know that sounds like bad news sometimes, but what it does is when we take 100% ownership of that, then now you and I, we get to step up and say, okay, how do I earn influence here? How do I earn influence here? And another piece here, it's not automatic, and is not, the word is called episodic. It doesn't happen in episodes. You can't roll in when you need to have a tough conversation or an important conversation and think, right now in this moment, I'm going to be really influential. Because what you've been doing all day and all week and all month and for the last while is going to play out because now you're the messenger. Does that make sense?
And when the time to perform or have influence has arrived, the time to earn that influence has passed.
Whoa.
So we have to prepare now to have influence for whatever our children are going to face in the future.
So let's do this real quick. Throw in the chat box, or you guys can even, you can raise, there's a virtual hand you can raise, or you can raise your physical hand, or just throw in the mic. What are some of the ways you need to or want to be more influential in your children's lives? Where do we need influence? Where do you want to influence? Let's share, because this will be inspiring for a lot of us and insightful. Where do you want to have more influence in your children's lives? Now, I know some of you have younger children, some of you have children that are already grown, and your influence still needs to be going on with kids that when they move out of the house. So we've got the whole spectrum here, I'm sure, from babies to adult children having babies. How cool is that? I cannot wait to be a grandpa, just saying. Where do you want to have more influence? Where do you need to have more influence? To help a certain teenager see some vision for his life. Yes. I get multiple emails a week on that very topic. How do I help my teen son, teen daughter get a vision for their life and do something about it? That's a big one. Thanks for sharing that. That's huge. I want them to understand they are in charge of their happiness and life. Whoa, right? Like teaching them some like responsibility and autonomy, and to catch the big picture of it, like your life will be what you make of it. Like that's a big one. And you guys, both of these are so good with this topic.
Well,
it's only going to be, what they make of it. You said it right there. Ha. You want to say something else?
Well,
keep going?
I want to talk about it.
Okay, we'll come back. I
don't want to forget.
Help a teenager get out of victim mode. Yeah, man. I shared a video about that in the 28-day challenge because
I think it's today's video.
Oh, is it today's? We take up residence in Victimville all the time, people, and our kids will do it and be like, no, it's totally out of my control. Like I am just a pawn here in life's chessboard, and we gotta teach our kids that they're not victims. Like get out of that. Or they allow others to decide for her. Love it, fantastic. I want to influence them to make and achieve goals. And right now, healthy eating, less sibling rivalry. Yeah, that's a big one. Or the contention. Building for the future. I want teenagers that are open to positive influence and growth. that they have that growth mindset. Can I just throw this out again?
How many times?
Every time I'm going to talk about this. If you've not read this book, read it. If you have read it, reread it. Make this your Bible. It's your parenting life Bible. Get the growth mindset. They're talking about that. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Let's unleash Rachel. Go.
So we actually had a conversation on the Thailand trip, just Greg and I, in private. Because sometimes as parents, we get so busy into raising our kids, which is a legitimately challenging, time-consuming job, that becomes everything for us. That becomes our whole life. I just want to raise the kids and raise good kids. And so that's our whole focus, all of our thoughts, all of our whatever goes towards that. But when we see things like this, like I want my kids to have vision. I want them to understand they're in charge of their own happiness and life. I want them to get out of victimville. Okay. All of these things, we have to always ask, are you doing that in your own life? Do you have a vision for your life besides just raising your kids? Because they don't see that as a vision, right? They just see it as like, that's what mom does. Do you have a vision for your life as a person? Are you stuck in victimville, or do you need to get out of it? Are you actually happy? You say you want them to be happy and in charge of their own life. Are you doing that? And this is where I think sometimes parents get a little maybe confused or off, is that they want to raise their kids, which is great. You need to do that. But you also need to be modeling the way you want them to live. If you want them to have vision and be passionate about something, you have to have vision and be passionate about something. If you want them to be happy on a daily basis, you've got to be happy on a daily basis. If you want them to stop being a victim,
why can't I just tell them to be happy?
Stop being a victim.
Be happy,
and
kid.
Be mindset and know all the things you're saying. That's what she says here. Everything that you're saying to them is either passing on one of two mindsets, a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Everything you say. Everything.
And do.
We're
modeling.
Is passing on one of those mindsets. And if you have a fixed mindset, the first step is to become aware of that and then to start changing that, because your kids, all of these things you're talking about ultimately come down to being a mindset, a fixed or growth mindset. And if they're doing those things you don't want them to do, that's actually because they're stuck in a fixed mindset and they probably learned it from you.
Oh, man.
It's hard to take. We've been there.
I wish we were in person so we'd give you guys hugs, because sometimes
we know it's hard.
You're like, because here's the truth about it, right? So, like, and again, we'll do this, right? I'll say to my kids, hey, you guys need to work out, right? You need to exercise and eat well.
Oh, we can say that all day long.
You
should practice your instruments. You need to read your books. You need to do your studies. You need to, all these things we say.
And then in my mind, I say, oh, but I can't because I don't have time.
I
have to take care of you and feed you, and I have work, and I have all these stressful things, so that's why I'm not happy. But you should be happy, you little ingrate.
Have no responsibility.
I'm beating you. I'm not happy, so you can be happy. And that message doesn't land.
And guess what? Without fail, every single time we work out or we practice an instrument or we read, guess what our kids do? Without us saying anything. They do it.
They just do it.
Maybe not the same day, maybe not the same week, but they always start doing it when we do it consistently.
Love this stuff.
That was just something.
Yeah, that was an awesome little rant there. It was beautiful. So let me ask this question. And you guys, great comments here. This is so good. A couple more came in. I want my teens to be okay being uncomfortable and to know that is part of the process of reaching goals. I love that.
Are they seeing you go through that process yourself?
which I was going to ask. Another one, Stephanie said, recognizing how their choices are really affecting them, like that total awareness of connection between choice and consequence, right? And then, this is also fantastic. I love it. This is why we love you guys, because you're so intentional about this, and we're striving to do this well.
Yes. And I just want to maybe point out, as something we actually do, is, I guess you could call it a parenting technique, I don't know. We voice this stuff. We don't just go through it and be like, oh yeah, that was good. We, as we're working through it or talking about it or thinking about it, we are talking about it with our kids. We might be at breakfast or lunch, and we're like, you know what, guys, I really noticed this, that I did this and this happened, or I'm really struggling with this, and this is what I think I should do. Or, man, I really just noticed that I have to get uncomfortable with pushing hard in my workout because that's the only way I'm going to get my 12-week goal. Like, we're talking through the process. We're not just doing it and then teaching them and telling them what they need to do. We are open and sharing the process, the journey, as we're going through it. Now, that doesn't mean we share everything. It's not like we tell our kids every single thing. There's some things we're not ready to share, or they don't need to know yet, or whatever. You have to have, some wisdom there. But in general, we're sharing the process of pursuing goals and developing ourselves and modeling it that way.
Which I love. Okay, let's do this real quick. Just on this list that came in. If you're constantly articulating the connection between the choices you're making or have made and how it's affecting you,
or the vision
you're
have.
articulating the vision you have for you, for your family, the goals you have, and they can see your vision board. If you have a vision board up and you talk about it, like this one, Tony said, like, you want your kids to be uncomfortable. If we're talking about the discomfort, and it's kind of raw, isn't it? It's kind of raw and it hurts. And if you're in front of your kids saying, guys, I'm chasing this goal and I'm struggling. It hurts. And I'm dealing with some self-doubt here, but this is what I'm doing to walk through it and face it and keep pushing, right? If you articulate that, then we're modeling, not just physically where they can see it, but they can hear it. And your kids are sitting at the dinner table like, okay, whatever, but they're processing this stuff as you're sharing your journey. And then a few weeks later or months later, or, next year, they see you triumph. Now they literally have it laid out for them in their mind of like, oh, that's how you push. That's how I get uncomfortable and I go with this.
I'm just going to say it.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I would say in every one of these desired outcomes you guys have mentioned, I would look for ways to do that better in your own life and talk about it. So the way to get it done with your kids is not to find something that's going to solve the problem and be like, here, I do this with my kid or to my kid, and now they're going to have vision, or now they're going to achieve goals, or now they're going to, whatever it is you want them to do. It doesn't work that way. Look for a way to do that in your own life, to eat better, to fight less, to get uncomfortable, and talk about that with your kids and model it. That's how you get the results you want.
Sweet. Which is actually, I hope this doesn't seem too heavy. It's actually quite fun and exciting to be chasing a goal and go through it. So let's do this for kicks and giggles, because I'm actually genuinely interested. Will everyone share a goal you're working on? Just in the chat box, just throw a goal you're working on, something you personally are working on, you're excited about. Let's just do this. I want to watch. I want the rest of the group to see what everyone else is working on and just crushing. Yes, Anna Marie's working on the garden. She told me about this, which I gotta admit, I'm honestly really jealous. Like, that is awesome. She's got an awesome vision of a big family garden on. She's working with her family. Big, that's huge. Love that. And I want to do this because I want you to be like, yeah, what am I currently pursuing right now? What am I chasing? What am I going after? Nice. Elizabeth is writing a book. Yeah. Okay. Shannon also doing family garden. Kat leading a humanitarian service and wellness retreat in Guatemala for adults. I didn't know about that one, Kat. Nice. And she's taking youth there as well. Walking on a treadmill for 2 hours a day while I teach online school. Yes, that is awesome. Oh, I've heard people doing that, or have the stationary bike where they can just pedal and do it. Alicia's training for a 100-mile bike ride. See, you guys are crushing it. My big question here is, are you talking about the vision,
the journey,
the discomfort, the pain, the doubt,
the
triumphs, the conflict of balancing time and effort? Like this is just one aspect of influence, but I think this bears, it's worth really digging into. This is awesome. You were going to say something. Okay, let's keep going.
Oh, I was just going to share mine, which I'm trying to do an 8-minute mile. That's which
is
really hard.
Working on running an 8-minute mile as she's training to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro with us in October. Oh, yeah. I hope some of you come with us, by the way. If you ever want to climb a big old humming mountain. Yes, Shannon, the back pain while shoveling compost. Yes, talk about it, articulate it, not in a complaining way, but like, this hurts, but I'm going to do it because it's my dream. Why do I keep doing this? And maybe go in and ask them. They're like, why am I out here sweating and my back's killing me?
And I mean, it seems a little cheesy sometimes. We literally are like these philosophers. We're always philosophizing, right? We're like talking through this, like, this really hurts, but you know what? I'm doing it. Why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I want the outcome. I want what it produces. And we philosophize with our kids like all the time, and they kind of laugh about it. And they think we're cheesy or funny, but do you know what?
It works. Oh man, it works.
Because I hear them talking to their friends. I hear them talking to each other. Just yesterday, my 9-year-old was telling my 6-year-old why they were playing again. That's a fixed mindset, Sage. We can do this. We can figure it out, you know? So like, they get it. It sinks in.
We're teaching them how to think.
Exactly. Which I don't want to forget these, because there's actually three keys to having influence with your family. We've been talking about the one kind of, which is role modeling the way. The first one is teaching them how to think. You have to teach people in your life how to think. Now, of course, you have to learn how to think yourself, which is role modeling the way, but you have to teach them how to think, not what to think. You don't have to say to them, well, this is what you should think about this, but you teach them how to think by asking questions like, well, why do you think that? And does that really make sense? And what about this? And like presenting questions, so they learn to question things, so they learn to come to conclusions that help them improve their thinking, right? So teaching them how to think is the first key. And that's tough to do with our spouses because they're more set in their ways and they think they know. But when you increase your level of influence and especially start modeling the way, you can influence your spouse to change their thinking.
So I put 3 books in the chat box about thinking: As a Man Thinketh, Majesty of Calmness, and The Untethered Soul. All absolutely fantastic books.
And short.
They're short reads. They're powerful. I'd make them part of my morning routine. I read a page or 2 from them every day for a couple of years, just because I wanted to keep
reading. Paragraph is all
it's all it takes, right? Yeah, you throw in some James Allen, Majesty of Calmness, and you're like, a paragraph is like, whoa. But so in this principle that Rachel's talking about, we have to teach our kids how to think, and we have to be training ourselves and training them every single day how to think.
Because by default, the majority of us actually, I don't know how to word it, we're not thinking correctly. Like, we're just not taught from society, from the media, from our parents, from just everything around us has not taught us how to think correctly. And so all of us, every one of us, has to constantly be like pruning our thinking to make sure that it's aligned with truth. It's aligned with what's real in the world and not some idea we came up with that makes no sense. One mentor of mine, she compared it to like on our phones or our computers. We're constantly updating our apps and we're updating the software. She's like, many of us haven't updated our brains since we were 12. We're still operating on ideas that were planted in our brains when we were like kids.
Or like our kids say, back in the 1900s.
We're operating on those ideas and they may be totally false. And yet we're building our life around it and wondering why things aren't working.
So cool.
Okay.
So this has to be part of the puzzle piece. I just want to share these real quick, then we can keep going. So Kayla's working on learning a new thing every day, either language, reading a good book, or parenting skills. Love it. Shannon says they do talk with their kids while they're working in the garden and talk about planning each bed and how it's going to be great. Again, that's teaching them how to envision. And, it's a good one.
Gardening is such a great comparison to the mind.
Yep.
The Secret Garden, like that book totally talks about that. Like,
it's all about the mind.
It's all about the mind.
And Stephanie's reading 2 to 4 books a month and planning and growing a cut flower garden. Love it. You guys, it's awesome. You're working on some great stuff.
Okay, so the first one is teaching how to think. Second one is modeling the way,
which we talked about.
And then the third one is challenging them to grow and to contribute. We have to challenge ourselves first off. That's modeling the way, right? And then we have to challenge our spouse. We have to challenge our children to grow and to contribute and to find ways that are meaningful to them to be able to do those things. Without that, without the growth, again, our life is not static and our children are not static. If we're not growing, we're by default, in essence, dying, I guess you can say. But if we're not growing, we're stagnating. And especially with teenagers, we talk about this all the time, especially with teenagers. They are so full of hormones and chemical changes in their brain and all of this. If they don't feel like they're growing, like they have something to be excited about, they are just going to stagnate. And Greg says all the time, like they'll say their most common feeling is this sense of blah. They just feel blah. And so back to the idea of helping things to go right instead of trying to fix what's going wrong, a lot of our teenagers are existing in blah. And we want to somehow fix that instead of looking at the underlying cause, which is they're not excited about anything. They don't have anything in their life to be excited about. And our kids get in the same thing until they find something to get excited about. Okay, and then they are on fire of their own free will and choice.
Here's where I constantly see, working with hundreds and thousands of parents all over the place. Here's what I constantly see as an epic fail. I share that insight, Rachel, and people are like, yes, my kids need something challenging to work on. And so they go home and they're like, child, you need to work on something challenging.
So you're going to do this thing, I tell you.
And that goes over like a lead balloon because they're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. So here's what I've seen works like magic.
Which is harder.
Yep, exactly. It demands more of us.
Telling them what to do.
I go to each kid and say, what do you want to really work on? That's important. Let's do it. And I join the challenge.
And of course, all their fixed mindsets come up of, well, I can't do that, or I don't know how, or I don't have the money, or it costs too much, or I don't have the supplies, right? That's your job, to support them and to model the way of figuring out solutions. Because what's happening in their mind is they've got this idea that the things I want to do, I can't do because we don't have the money or the time or the stuff. And unfortunately, as parents, sometimes we perpetuate that by saying, well, yeah, I can't buy that, or I can't do that,
or this. We
can't afford that, or this or that. And so then they're like, blah, life is blah, because the things I want to do, I can't do. What we need to be doing is helping them find solutions. Everything in life is figure outable. If they want to do something, even if it's skydiving or build a boat, whatever it is, like you can help them figure out how to do that. And going through that process brings them to life.
My kids found out, well, they heard a rumor that you can go skydiving at 16 in England. So now they're trying to figure out how to get over there so they can go skydiving sooner than 18. I was like, all right, I'll go with you. Let's roll.
Great.
Let's do this. Okay. May I have your permission to ask a coaching question? And I think this will be insightful. Why do you lack influence in your home or family? Just jot that down. You don't have to share, but I want you to jot it down. I want you to think about it, jot it down. This is one of those really honest but really good coaching questions. Wait, why is it that I lack influence right now? What is it specifically? And if very few of us ever stop to ask that question, and if we can get a solid answer, an honest answer, it really unlocks a lot of potential. If we want more influence, why is it that I lack influence? And you may not know, and I guess that's why I'm asking. A lot of us don't know. That's why I'm asking the question. But I want you to sit with
sometimes
it.
We've never considered it.
Yeah, we never considered it, or we've thought about it. We're just like, dang, I can't figure this out. What is it? We're gonna hit some things here, but like if you'll come up with the answer to that question. In fact, do some of you know? Are some of you willing to share? This is a safe group. If we can share here, I think it'll inspire others. If you know why it is you feel like you lack influence, that's an honest question and answer that I think is so empowering in our journey and growth as parents and with spouses too, in creating our family life. Okay, here's some great questions. Thank you. Throwing this, is it because I try to force it? Right? Because usually forcing it doesn't go over so well. We all know that, right? And yet we still do it. And our parents tried to force us and we resisted. The rebellion. Yes. So, and yet sometimes there needs to be some pushing. I totally agree. There needs to be some pushing for a little kid that needs to push out of the nest. Too bossy, lack confidence. Yeah, always wonder. Good. These are great questions for all of us to consider. And you guys, thank you. I love you all. Genuinely. Thanks for sharing these insights and this awesomeness. When you're willing to be vulnerable and open up and share like this, it inspires all of us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes it's our own low self-esteem that lowers our influence. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. That's so true. Wow. So true. Forgetting to listen or not listening well enough. Listening is a great skill set. And if we aren't listening enough, that can do it. I think it comes back to example for me. I think I give too much advice instead of asking them questions. Another great one there. Yeah. Man, a well-placed question can be so much more powerful than your best doctrinal discourse. Your what was that? Your dissertation. Your best dissertation can be undone and overdone by just a solid question. I love that. Letting them come up with the answers on their own. Discouraged by discord in the family. Yeah. So, well, I think there's two there. Discouragement can weaken our influence, and of course, discord. If there's a lot of frustration and contention, that just puts a damper on all kinds of influence. Another one came in, this great insight. I less influence because I don't know how to respond to something. And so I sometimes withdraw and I'm no longer present. Whoa. You guys are the best. Thanks for sharing these, because it's giving us so much insight into what can happen. If I'm there, but I'm not really there, I mean, the lights are on, but no one's home, so to speak, and I'm not fully present. Do you think I have influence with my spouse or my kids? If I'm sitting there and Rachel's talking to me, I'm like, yeah, yeah, babe, yes, dear, and she needs to talk to me, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, babe. Can we just make out later? Yeah, right. They're like You got to be able to be present. You guys, this is so good.
I know, I'm having a lot of thoughts.
Me too. Oh my goodness. Okay. Nice.
Reading
Nice.
Unconditional
Unconditional
Parenting.
parenting, peaceful parent, and happy kids love it. Realizing more and more that we haven't built strong enough connection with our kids. So of course we don't have the level of influence we want.
Okay.
Another huge one right there. Gotta have deep connection.
I do want to say something about this. It's kind of interesting because I'm going to be honest here. In some ways, there are some people, especially who are more about the traditional parenting methods, who think our younger children are out of control. And I'm not saying this is everyone, but like we've occasionally gotten comments like that, like your kids are a little bit crazy. And yet our teenagers, they rave about them. Your teens are so amazing. Same people. They don't realize there's actually a connection there, because we focus really hard on not disciplining our little children, but on connecting with them and teaching them in a way that doesn't necessarily look like discipline. We're not like spanking or timeouts or these things. Not that we've never done that, but that's not the main thing.
We've repented.
No, not. I'll give a spanking if needed. But most of the time, we allow our children to be children. We allow them to express their feelings or their emotions. And then usually after they do that, we walk them through the process of learning to manage or control or process those things, right? So in some ways from the outside, that looks like acting out. But really, we're just allowing them to be kids, and we're concerned with connecting with them and teaching them the principles rather than forcefully disciplining them or, making sure they stay in line through our hard-handedness.
I told you guys about the story when I walked out of my office and Sage was playing a kitchen knife game with our leather couch. And she was just poking holes in it, right? Remember that? And I could have been like, you're grounded, I'm spanking your butt, give me the knife, yelled, scream, everything. What was done, and it would have broken the connection. And so she innocently was playing a game. Never again. And I just took it back. So we don't do that. And we cheat. And I just taught her principle, no resentment, nothing. And we just kind of guide them because we're going end result thinking.
I was doing a coaching session last week, and someone was asking me about things we do to discipline our younger kids. And I said, you know what? Honestly, we look at the cause. Why are they acting like this? Are they hungry? Are they tired? Did they eat sugar?
Are their needs being met?
Are their needs being met? And very often, they're usually acting that way because they feel misunderstood or distant from you. So do you know what we often do? One of us will take the child and sit and cuddle with them until they decide they want to get up and go play. That solves so many problems. Now,
the vast majority of times, you guys got to share this. I woke up at 3:30 yesterday, wide awake. I was 3:15 actually. I was so stoked, and I kept studying the brain. And I just did a whole podcast episode about the brain yesterday. So what brain scanning research has now found is that, especially in little children, but in all of us, that watching TV and playing video games and lots of screen time for little kids is actually dramatically decreasing blood flow to the brain. Now, you guys know this. What happens to a human being who has decreased blood flow to their brain? It doesn't work as well. And the last thing you want is a child with a brain that's not working very well. That's just science. That's not my opinion. That's just proven science. They're literally monitoring the brain, and those kind of things is decreasing blood flow. Then they found that soda and sugar and simple carbohydrates are actually damaging the brain. And then there's this lack of connection or love, or the 6 human needs. We can do a whole training on that later. But you look at almost any behavioral problem in a child, and you can connect it to mental input, emotional input, or physical input. And so instead of me grounding or spanking or disciplining or yelling, I have to stop and say, what's going on here? There's some behavior, something's off. And Rachel and I are getting good at this now. We stunk at it for our poor first children. They had to get experimental, those first kids. But now we're like, oh, what's off? And you can see it and you can remedy it quickly. And of course, the behavior aligns. It's awesome.
But the point being, going back to that, now we have great relationships with our teens. They talk to us, they're open with us, they tell us the things that are going on in their life, they share their concerns and struggles. We have a close relationship because our approach to disciplining them while they were young was not in a way that created wedges in our relationship. Does that make sense? There's a direct connection. The way you are disciplining your small children now is going to directly impact your relationship with them as a teen. So yeah, we're a little more, and our kids' friends will say that. They're like, your parents are strict about some things, but really they're not. Like, you guys don't have a curfew, you don't, like, all these other things. We're strict about the things that matter because we know the impact they have long term. And the rest of the things, they're allowed to be people and individuals with personalities and differences, and and that even goes with the younger ones.
Love it. Okay, good. Cool. So let me read these 2 comments and questions. That's so good.
Should we do this one because it ties in, or?
Well, I think both these do.
Okay.
So,
and then we have to go back too.
No, we're all caught up. We're good. Oh, okay. So I'm going to jump back and then we'll get to your question, Laura. So in answering why we lacked influence, so one of you said, I needed my oldest to make me feel good. We had some emotional dependencies on our kids, right? And we do this if we're not careful on their behavior, on how they treat us. Like we can get kind of mixed up in that emotionally and mentally, and do things my way instead of seeing her as a person. And I saw her as the problem. And when things went wrong, I fell into just seeing myself as a bad parent, which isn't a place of problem solving, right? It's just kind of throwing a pity party. And then I wasn't present for the younger kids, right? And we get in these cycles, these patterns. I think we've probably all done this. We needed some kind of emotional thing or mental thing from a kid, and we had a poor attachment, and something was off. And then we're not there, and we want to be there, but we're not there. And we're missing this connection and influence on our kids that we could have by making just a few simple tweaks. And so then the question is now, how can we fix our relationship, our connection with our kids that are now teens? So if we went, and let's just be honest here, probably all of us made quite a few parenting mistakes, especially on the first kids, because it's just this experiment. So now we go, okay, how do I fix this? How do I improve this? How do I resolve this? I have some thoughts from 20 years of working with teens and with parents, but I want to hear from you. What are your suggestions? How can we improve our relationships with our children, especially those of us who have teens and older kids? What are your suggestions? What are your thoughts? How can, and maybe you've done it with some of them, how can we make restitution? How can we take something that's been off and really kind of turn it back around? Nice. So Child Whisperer, we got a book on the shelf. Yep. Help me see my children's natural strengths and knowing how to praise them in the language they needed. Love it. So we're building them. We've got to start doing that more and more, building up our kids and doing it the right way, not the fixed mindset way, but really building them up again. Total unconditional love, right? Can you increase your love? So question number 1, I'd say all of us need to increase our love, but number 2, we need to increase how we express it. Sometimes we will change our hearts and we'll have more love, but we don't know how to show it, or we don't show it very well. That's a big one. Okay. Other thoughts? my suggestion is figure out ways you can make some serious investments in them and in your relationship. Now, that can be expensive, so to speak, in time or resources or money. But like, what's a way that you can genuinely invest in them, make deposits in the emotional bank account, or start creating new memories? Here's what I would do. If this were me, I would say, you know what? I'm going to start from ground zero right now. I'm going to draw a line in the sand, and I'm going to build a whole new list of new memories with this child. I'm going to transform everything. If he or she has a stockpile of negative memories with me, I'm going to start over and I'm going to replace those, drown them out, just overwhelm them with new positive memories and experiences.
Well, and I want to add, kind of like what Anna Marie is saying here. I had to stop focusing on what he wasn't doing. So like, I like your ideas, but I kind of want to do a little pre-step to that. Maybe focus more on seeing him as a lovable, great kid and treating him that way. Yes. And I know I've personally had to do this. I think sometimes the first step, depending on where that relationship is with this teen, you may not be ready, or they may not be ready to go out and have an experience together, right? Because you guys don't want to talk to each other or spend time to each other, or if you do, it's all negative. I had to start by catching myself, first of all. It wasn't even perceptible, really. It was, if I had a negative thought about that child, I would stop it and I would change it. That was it. I would just start noticing those things. Oh, wait, that's not positive. Let me flip that around. Let me change that, right? And then I would go the next step of like, okay, now let me think of positive things. So the first step is even just stopping the negative thoughts. The thoughts. I'm not even talking about anything you say or do. You don't have to change your behavior. You don't have to change, except by maybe I made a commitment to stop interacting with this one child. Not like totally, not like ignore them interacting, but just like I wasn't going to engage in a negative way, right? That was the first step. And then catching and changing my thoughts. And then the next step, when I felt ready, is to start having positive thoughts. And then those eventually led to positive actions, if that makes sense. And then once you do that, again, you have different skills than I do. You could probably go right to that thing. I have to go through the process of, like someone else was saying there, we get this own feeling of like, well, they should be treating me this way, or they should do this because I've done so much, I've sacrificed, or whatever it is. We have to process that in ourselves first so we can get to the point where we feel able to maybe unconditionally love or express love or whatever it is. We have it's this process of working through it ourselves. So it's not really even about them at that point. It's about us. And we have to process our own emotions and get to a place where like, you know what, I got to level up here and be a more capable parent to love this child in the way they need to be loved, not the way I wanted to love them.
Beautiful. So it really starts by trying to create a change of heart and a change of mind first. I love that. Love that. And then, Tony says, we try not to talk when I'm angry. That's awesome. Yeah, try to just really decrease the negative interactions because you don't want to just keep adding to that. And we can let them know that we see their perspective, we're on their side, while also letting them know why we have some boundaries.
And decreasing the negative interactions does not mean anything goes. And I will still just calmly say, well, I'm the parent and this is the rule we have.
We're still holding the standard.
We're still going to hold to it, whether you like it or not. And I've explained why, because you can explain why all the time, all day long, and they still may not like it or agree with it. And ultimately, you have to decide what's best for your children and your family and calmly enforce those rules, no matter how much they don't like it. But you remain calm. Okay, hopefully that helps. Awesome. That's the starting place for sure.
Woo! This stuff is all so good.
So, but there was something else. Can I add? Is it too long? Is it too much? I think that's important that I add.
Add it.
So in a lot of these things, especially when we're like, discord at home or the fighting or all these other things, sometimes or very often, I think we believe that when things change, then I will be able to feel better. When I don't have as much stress or there's less fighting or my husband does this, then I'll be able to be happy. And it's, we all get we shouldn't wait till we have the car or the house to be happy, or we should be happy now. Like, we all say those types of things, but I don't think we're really applying this in our family life, in our personal life. We are expecting the circumstances to bring the emotion when it's backwards. We have to actually generate the emotions first, and that will actually bring the circumstances we want. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, love it. Choose the emotion. Which we do all the time, right? We're talking about this. You guys, you have to choose the emotion you want each morning. Hopefully you're doing that with your 28-day challenge. And when you get thrown off during the day, just come back to it and just keep choosing what you want to radiate. Nice. So, yes. Anna Marie said, I've totally witnessed this month that I did the challenge. Yes, it's so true. And I got to share something here. It's a thought that I actually reread this morning. There's one responsibility that no person can evade. That is the responsibility of personal influence. Every man and woman has an atmosphere or a radiation that is affecting every other person around them. You can't escape it. It is simply the constant radiation of what a man or a woman really is. Every man or woman, by his or her mere living, is radiating positive or negative qualities. Life is a state of radiation. We just are. We're just constantly radiating. Mm-hmm. So the first step, you guys, is just to catch some awareness of like, what am I radiating?
Yeah. To change first what you're radiating, and then that is going to change everything else. It's going to change the interaction. If there's discord, if there's disagreement, if there's anger, like all these things, first decide what you want to feel. What do you want to feel in your family? What do you want to have in those interactions? And then choose that emotion and radiate it and bring that to your interactions instead of waiting for it to come when things finally work out.
Love it. Man, that's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Whew. Okay, let's just open up for questions. We had more to cover, but we'll share it later. There's always more to share. This was awesome. So powerful. Good stuff. You guys, great questions and great comments. So insightful. If you have any questions, let's throw them out. See, since I've set my 3-word alarms and started choosing my emotion 2-3 weeks, all my kids join in reminding me. My 2-year-old says the words. It's awesome. Oh, I love that, Stephanie. It's so awesome. Cool. And look what we're doing. We're actually setting a new standard for our family culture, our family dynamics. We're teaching our children how to do life. Think about it. If you keep this up, your 2-year-old's just going to go through life saying, well, this is just what we do. And they'll go out into adult life and be like, what? You guys didn't have power words? You didn't grow up choosing your emotion, you poor thing. You've lived in victimville. Like, teach your kids how to do life. Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, any other questions? Questions about anything? Questions about marriage? Questions about parenting,
yeah, I actually had a whole
life?
thing here we didn't even get to about energy levels and productivity.
Which we've got to get our energy up, you guys. So make sure you're getting good quality sleep and good exercise.
Yeah, I was gonna.
You're going to talk about all this. Make sure, here's what I would say from all the brain research I did. Actually, go listen to that podcast that I did yesterday. It will give you tons of research. But like, if you're having any kind of behavioral issues in your home, any mood stuff, any mental, emotional stuff, any behavioral stuff, the very, very first thing I always look at when people come to me for help, and that most of these physicians now are doing brain scanners, the very first thing they look at is their food. So if you have chronic behavioral, mood, mental, psychological, emotional stuff going on in your home, consider switching up your food. We have some book recommendations if you want, like clean up your diet, especially sugar and soda. Sorry to throw that out there. I know some of you are like, those are your two favorite food groups. But like those things literally, I know it seems crazy. When I first heard this stuff, I was like, oh, whatever. How could drinking soda make me feel depressed? Like that sugary stuff goes right to your brain and is actually causing brain damage, which then affects the parts of your brain that cause emotional stuff and mood stuff and behavioral stuff.
So, and I just want to tie this into it because it's directly connected. Most of us, okay, if we're feeling exhausted, foggy, drained, unhappy, unfulfilled, even low confidence, it comes from a lack ultimately of energy. And a lack of energy is directly tied to the food that we're eating. So it's a way bigger deal than many of us realize. It really is affecting us. And when we have more energy, that's how we get more done. That's how we're able to interact with our family from a place of influence, because we have the energy to do so. It's not easy. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. And we have to be able to bring that and have that energy in order to switch things up in our family, right? So yeah, I just have to point that out. Energy levels are a huge deal, and they're hugely affected by food. Now,
big time. Okay, good question.
With that, yeah, these great questions.
So I threw a couple book recommendations in there: Change Your Brain, Change Your Life by Dr. Amen, and Headstrong by Dave Asprey. Or if you guys want to go gangbusters and totally disrupt your life, I'm hesitant to share this because it will disrupt your life.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. You ready?
Awesome.
It's called Superhuman. And it's about longevity. There's tons of research in there. I don't agree with everything he says, but most of it is rock solid and awesome. Oh, it's so
okay.
good.
So then the question is, how I think directly related to the eating and stuff, how do I influence the people I love who don't and fight you?
Wait, is that about eating?
I think it's about the eating.
Or is it what's it about?
Scroll down.
Yes. Oh, the food.
So,
the sugar.
And you know what? This happened to us too, because we had done some research and we knew sugar wasn't bad for you. And like practically our whole married life, we were anti-sugar, although we did cane sugar, which is actually turns out almost as bad. Pretty much as bad. Anyways, and we kept telling our kids, don't eat sugar, don't. And we tried lots of different things. We would pay them for not eating sugar. We would
Which
punish
works,
them. Well, for some of them it works. Our one daughter literally has gone.
She's coming up on 2 years now.
2 years without sugar.
No sugar.
We paid her at first. Now we don't pay her. She just does it. The thing that finally changed it for us. Okay, I'm gonna go. This is crazy. There's a couple things here.
But I gotta respond. Okay,
I know.
Go.
Okay. Things that finally changed it for our kids. What I mean for our kids, where they now choose on their own not to eat sugar, is by just sharing with them the science. We literally would just read from the book. This is what sugar does to your brain. This is what sugar does to your body. This is like, we just read them the science.
But here's how we did it.
And now they're like, it causes cancer. It like all these things. And
we did it diplomatically. Somebody who is sick, and we would talk about, this is part of the piece, right? They got colon cancer because of what they're eating. Or Rachel and I would sit at the table with the kids around, and we know they can hear us, and we're geeking out about what we read. Like, kids, listen to me.
Yeah.
And so
we were just talking about it like excited and passionate, and they overhear it, and they're like, what? Wow. Okay, no way. I'm going to share this. A lot of you will probably think this is totally insane, but it's real. The other thing was, one of my sons got a cavity on his front tooth. Okay. Now, of course, that's hurting his image. It's hurting his image, right? The girls. You may not realize this and you may think it's totally insane, but I have done it and he is doing it. I told him it's because of
What you're eating.
cavities are caused not by just what gets on your teeth, but actually by your overall body health. The first thing to go when your body's out of whack is your teeth. Well, one of the first things. Your teeth start to get weak. So I told him he'd been eating too much sugar, too many carbs and all of that, and he needed to change his diet because you can actually stop cavities and regrow enamel. It's really true by switching your diet. So he needed to eat more, drink more bone broth and have more calcium and fats. Fats are good for you. Grass-fed butter, we eat it by the pound around here. Okay. And he started doing that and is now regrowing his cavity too.
It looks way better.
Okay. Those two things totally changed everything. And our kids now, they literally will go to events with their friends or whatever and be like, don't eat that stuff.
Okay, so let me hit a lot of this. There's so much coming in. So Shannon, you're right. You're saying when spouse is on board, it's easy. When the spouse is bringing sugar into the house, it makes it harder. Absolutely. Same with the kids. That 16-year-old, he would bring sugar into the house and hide it in his room, and our little kids would go eat it from his stash.
He doesn't do that anymore because his cavity.
It's so funny. But here's
the thing, though. I just want
here's the thing. I'm telling.
There's just something about sharing the science. Okay, it's
with your spouse too. That's what I was going to say.
It's one thing when it's your opinion. It's a whole nother thing when it's just the science. This is just what the science says.
Undeniable science, and you can show pictures and images and do it tactfully. They're just like, oh, okay.
You can't argue with that. You can't be like, but yeah, hon, that's just you.
So here's what we do. I encourage my spouse to read the book. If she doesn't, we're on a family drive, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to throw in my audiobook. I'm at this really great part. And everyone starts listening to my audiobook, and they pick up on it, and we have all the kids. I'll pay the kids. Or you could even do this tactfully, like reward your spouse with something. Just read the dadgum book. Like, come on. So you can get on the same page. That makes a huge difference.
Because once you know in detail, this is exactly what's happening to my body whenever I do that, then there's just like something in you that's like, at least if you don't stop right away, you start thinking about it and
so this is for, there's lots of comments coming in about spouses self-medicate with sugar. And a lot of us buffer to sugar, sweets or chocolates or soda. It's your buffer. And you guys, I do this in all my coaching. I start working with one of the spouses, then the other spouse, then the kids. We kind of work through the family. But I would say get the book Superhuman. So have your husbands, both of your husbands, read that book. It's about being a man. It just entice him, like, you want to be the man. It's about living a long, healthy, strong life. It even talks in there about keeping up your manliness and your testosterone and even your sexual organ. Like, you got to entice him the right way. If you want to be the man, you read this book. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm never having sugar again
because it kills my testosterone.
Exactly. And it's leading to erectile dysfunction and all kinds of other stuff. So you got to use however you got to use it.
Whatever works.
Dave Asprey is the author. Dave Asprey.
And again, now someone could argue, well, maybe he's just extreme. He cites all the research.
Everything. It's all in there.
It's all from,
it's solid.
Solid sources and everything. It's not just his opinion. How much do you pay your kids to read? It depends on the book
and the
kid is and the age of the kid, but anywhere
we would go as high as $20 even.
Yeah.
Usually get a kid to read. I would pay $20 all day long for my kids to read a life-changing book.
Especially when they're reluctant. Yeah. Now they'll usually do it without being paid, but we've done it.
So question is here, what if they listen, read, and even agree, but won't make the changes in their life or let go of the ideas?
So this was something I was going to add.
I was going to add.
Yeah, I am telling you. You have to find replacements. There's no way any of us can just, unless you're Greg Denning, maybe, can just go cold turkey. You have to find a replacement. So you have to replace whatever it was that you enjoyed, these comfort foods, that's a real deal, with something else. So that's what I was going to say about the sugar. You don't have to totally cut the sugar out. Maybe you wean yourself off of it.
And replace it with something great.
Is better than sugar.
Honey
is better than maple syrup. And then there's sweeteners now. There's like is it xylitol?
I don't know. And monk fruit.
Monk fruit tastes just like sugar and is non-glycemic, meaning it doesn't do the same thing to your body. It doesn't damage your brain that sugar does.
But for those of you whose husbands like turn to it, or wives, whatever, if you have a child, you guys here, you got to see it like this. Every one of us has a relationship with food. You are in a relationship with your food, especially your little favorite foods, whether that's soda or chocolate or ice cream or whatever it is. You have a relationship with it. You need to have a little bit of a breakup, but replace it with something else.
Yes.
Start consuming something else that's healthier. Take a step in the right direction and start a new little love affair with dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate. Dark chocolate's actually good for you. But so you have to switch it up, and then again, just be tactful, be influential.
Maybe just get a little bit better things. Now, instead of the sugar, you buy the sweetener, or you whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be from here to here. You can go little by little and climb the little ladder of slightly better 1% improvements, right? Make it a gradual thing. Buy the organic, buy the whatever the next level is for you, do that. And just because if you try to switch it all at once, it's crazy. It's
disruptive.
Unless you're the Dennings, don't do that, right? Because even we're going crazy sometimes. You'll totally switch the diet.
You'll have a mutiny on your hands. And Shannon, yes, you're right. Some of the monk fruit or those other products, they will have chemicals in them. So read the labels. Be cautious of that.
Read the labels on everything.
People are trying to sneak garbage into your body. Again, read as many books as you can. Go through what's the brain one? Headstrong. Go through Headstrong. Go through the books by Dr. Amen. Just go through all the whys. And sometimes with your spouse that even reads it or listens to it, but still won't change. When they hear the right why for them, it'll click. Yeah. Like Dr. Amen said, he said, I was doing all this research. I knew about the brain, yada, yada, blah, blah. He says, then I realized I was doing all these studies and I realized there is a direct connection.
He was this smart doctor with all this education and, felt like
he knew all the stuff.
A great brain.
But then he scanned his own brain, and then his team did a discovery. They realized there's a direct connection between being overweight and brain function. And he published all these articles on it now. He found the more overweight you are, the smaller your brain gets. It literally shrinks when you get overweight, and your brain function decreases. So for every percentage you go overweight, your brain function decreases. And that's just straight science. So he's like, I lost 30 pounds immediately. I finally had my why. I was done.
Because the brain is your most energy demanding organ in the entire body. It requires more energy than pretty much anything else. But the first thing to go when you don't have enough energy and you don't have enough fats is nutrition to the brain. So this is across the board with whatever you're eating. If you're not getting enough of the right stuff, your brain is the first thing to suffer.
Okay, I got to share something I just learned in the last little bit too. There was a comment up earlier that said, my child with ADHD is a total sugar addict. I would pretty boldly and confidently declare that the sugar addiction is causing a lot of, if not all of the ADHD. And the brain science is there, the scanning to back it up. It's all there, you guys. It's causing a lot of the behavioral problems is literally linked to what we're putting in our bodies.
Well, because we as a society started eating sugars, a couple hundred years ago or so. And so it's having this effect now of actually producing a lot of these things that we're dealing with nowadays because it's causing it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kind of
we're geeking out.
We're geeking out here. Sorry guys, you're getting the fire hose now and it's coming unglued. And I'm talking
And we
like,
still want to talk about the
yeah,
28-day challenge.
well, there's more. And in depression, anxiety, they're finding direct links to food.
Oh,
So
okay,
yeah,
this is
Tracy,
good.
I gotta read this. What do you do when your spouse gets irritated with you reading books and making changes? Every time I make improvements or changes, he gets mad and says, "Did you get that from some book?" It sounds like, oh man, like my mom would get so angry. Tell me you're not reading another beaten book. I'm like, yep, and I'm changing my life again. So again, help him understand. Almost everyone would be willing to change if they understand why they should change, and it's relevant to them. Not relevant to you, relevant to them. What is it your spouse wants? They want to live a long, healthy life. They want to be more manly, more sexy, more better at sports, better in bed, honestly. Like whatever you got, give them the right motivation, and then encourage them. Say, hey, let's do this together. Let's read together. And he has a fixed mindset around books should be for entertainment, not for improvement. But switch that up, or watch some videos, watch some YouTube videos about the book, or like just figure that out.
And I think that comes back to the whole idea of influence. Like influence really comes down to understanding the person and then figuring out, like if you didn't have a good heart, it would basically be manipulation, right? In some ways, because you're understanding how to get to that person and what influences them and what affects them. And then you're using that, but you're using it in a positive way. You're using that so they actually have enlightenment and want to make improvement, right? So you understand what matters to your spouse, and then you say, oh, yeah, you said you were worried about whatever. I just read that this
thing
does this. That if you do this, it will help with that.
Yeah, you say
And
you're not
suddenly
sleeping
there's a
well at night.
connection, and
Bam.
they're like, oh, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, so one
And
of
you
you
have to
said
start there and like little by
work
little.
incrementally. One of you said it's son with a total sugar addiction changed from sugar to energy drinks, which energy drinks have like 3 to 5 to 10 times as much caffeine as coffee. So what about
And tons of sugar.
caffeine? And they have tons of sugar or replacement sugar. So it's usually a chemical sugar, which is worse, with caffeine, which is worse. Is replacement better or just as bad? So caffeine on the brain, and you can actually look up brain scan images with those kind of toxins. If he keeps up the caffeine, it literally will punch holes in his brain. So you'll see a healthy brain scan and then a caffeinated brain scan, and it is horrendous. And there's just tons of research around that. A great book about that is The Power of Full Engagement. Talks about what caffeine does. It creates these spikes. It is definitely damaging our brains. So nope. The hard, straight answer to that is caffeine is horrid for our bodies. I went to a sugar addiction class last night. Nice. Ooh, they gave us a drop of a herb called gymnema.
Oh,
Numb the sugar taste buds in the tongue. Sugar tasted like sand. Honey tastes like
that's
wax.
cool.
That is so cool. I want to
Reminds
offer a
me
bit of
miracle berries.
right. I want to offer a bit of hope. We struggled with sugar intake with our oldest the whole time he was growing up. Didn't feel like we'd ever get through to him. He's 25, avoids sugars like the plague. He changed when he felt like it was totally his choice.
Yes.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he had some kind of relevance and application to him. Like he had his own why. I love that. Do you have a recipe for meringue that works? Do not use sugar. No. My daughter tried meringue without sugar, and they always come out flat.
You could make it with the monk fruit sweetener.
I don't know if it works. She's the baker, and she's trying to come up with all these recipes, and a lot of them are just dead. She's like, no. The last one's called The Power of Full Engagement. That's just a holistic book on raising your energy levels.
And learning to recover from stress. So stress and recovery.
Powerful Engagement is by two authors. Jim Lorne something or other. It's right there. It's Jim Lorne and Tony Schwartz. Great book. Okay, you guys, this is so fun. All you have to do is ask questions that Rachel and I like to geek out on, and then you get the fire hose of crazy. So what we can really honestly, sincerely say is sorry, not sorry for disrupting your lives.
That's why we're here.
Because we want to bring some disruption. Because ultimately, you guys, we can fully optimize our lives. We really can. And it is possible. And we can strategically, by making little tweaks, create our extraordinary family life.
Well, and I think it's important to remember that, yeah, the fire hose is great, right, Shannon? But you don't have to do it all at once. And that's sometimes where we get, we misstep, or we
Get overwhelmed.
falter, or get overwhelmed, when it's great to learn that, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff out there I didn't know about. And then sometimes we feel like I have to implement it all now, and it's not going to happen. What you need to remember is that, yes, there is so much out there that we don't even know about yet. And that's the exciting thing. It's this journey that we get to take for the rest of our lives, right? Till we're 180. And it's always going to be something new. There's always another level. It's like better than a video game, okay? Life. There's always another level. So just figure out what your next level is and do that. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be 1% improvement in one area of your life. And then you just repeat that over and over and over again for the rest of your life.
And then you put it on your 28-day tracker. And maybe you do a sugar fast or a soda fast, or you do way more veggies or whatever, and you just start ticking it off. Well, and for a lot of us, it's going to be today. Can I go today without caffeine? Just today. Don't focus on the week or the month. Just today. Can I do today? Yep, I did it. Boom. Then tomorrow, I can make it through today without caffeine. Boom, I got it. Or whatever it is that you want to work on. I know we just load you guys up with awesomeness.
Yeah, like with everything.
But just pick the things that make a difference. And as a lot of you are already saying, you are already experiencing the benefits and the improvements, the results, outcomes of making and keeping small commitments that will transform your life, your marriage, which I hope is getting spicier this month. And we got some more good videos before the end of the month. So watch for those. And then starting Sunday, March 1, is the parenting all month long. So bring us your questions, bring us your specific issues, or specific challenges with a child or with family dynamics or routines or system. We're going to go through a lot of that this month. And again, you just, and there's, I know some of you are new now and just joining. There are full training videos in the back end that you can watch all about the 28-day tracker and how to use it. But essentially, recap, you guys, you're just going to list out a few important commitments, things you know will make a difference, and then just kind of check them off as you go along. And you're just holding yourself accountable to follow the tracker to make these incremental changes you know will make a difference.
Well, and so each month is a different focus. So this February was marriage and March is parenting. The tracker may or may not include those things. Like maybe there's something you want to add about marriage on here, like sending a text or something. It can't just be personal stuff. So what goes on the tracker is entirely up to you, depending on what your family goals are, your marriage goals are, your personal goals are. And the goal, of course, is just the whole idea is you're making and keeping daily small commitments to yourself, because that's how you develop your ability to achieve bigger things. You have to start with somewhere small, and doing something like this helps you make and keep those daily commitments so that you're developing your ability to get things done and to accomplish things, right? So you can have stuff on there about parenting next month if you need it. If not, great. It's up to you.
Keep up with.
But as you do it and you turn it in, that's when you get to win prizes. Besides
and change your life.
Besides changing your life.
And bonus prizes. Yes. So you guys, it just works. It works.
And yes,
and
all
awesome.
The videos that we're doing and we're sending out, all of them are in. When you log into your dashboard, you should have this, the Extraordinary Family Life Coaching, as an option. And then all of the 28-day videos are going to be under the 28-day challenge course.
Yep.
That's where all of those are.
Love it.
So they're connected, but they're separate too.
So Kayla's saying there's not enough lines on the tracker. So is it because I'm spreading too thin, or I'm not? Like, if you're managing them well and you're getting to them and your life still feels balanced and you feel productive, keep adding, go for it.
Now, sometimes though, there are things that I just do, and I know I don't have to put them on there because I'm going to do it. So for me anyways, this is for the things like that I want to do or that I sometimes do, but I don't always do. The things I want to really kind of solidify in my life, those are usually the things I put on there. It's not the things that I do automatically, like brush my teeth. Like I'm going to brush my teeth, so I don't have to put that on there as a crazy example. But for me anyway, that's how I kind of do it, is I focus on what am I struggling with a little bit that I want to really get solid.
To track. So if practicing the violin is on mine, but I do it automatically every day because it's so important to me, I may not put it on there. I'll save space for something I am struggling with not getting to, which violin for me is struggling, so it's on mine. I don't practice my violin enough.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. You answered her question about accessing the videos, but technically they're in the 28-day challenge part, not the Extraordinary Family Life.
Oh, okay. So inside the back end, but you do have access to all the videos.
Yes, all the videos are there, but the ones that we're sending out every day for the 28-day challenge, those are in the 28-day challenge, not the Extraordinary Family Life. These recordings, like this one right here, will be in Extraordinary Family Life course, but the 28-day video challenges that we send out every day will be in the 28-day challenge one. Hope that's not too confusing.
Questions from Tony and Laura and anyone else watching who's new. Should we start back in January? You can at your own pace. January was all about personal development. It was all about you, which is the first element in the Extraordinary Family Life formula. February was all about marriage, and March is all about parenting. So wherever you would like to focus, if you can spend 15 minutes a day, then you could do a video from January and February, or hit out a couple at a time and just kind of go through your own pace. But really, yeah, they're kind of going in order of like getting you dialed in, then your marriage, then parenting.
Or just pick and choose from some of the topics that seem relevant to what you
need or want to focus on.
Focus on.
Another question, do you ever carry over goals from month to month? Absolutely. Yeah, the ones I'm still working on.
If you don't have it down yet, or you don't feel like it's a part of you yet, yeah, we carry it over. And generally, like if you have the Extraordinary Life Planner, we focus on setting 12-week goals. So we're still in the first 12 weeks of the new year, right? So we haven't completed our first 12-week goals yet. So those things that are connected to achieving those 12-week goals, they're still on there until I get to the end of the 12 weeks. And then I either have accomplished that goal or I reevaluate if I need more time or whatever. So I'll still keep those things on there. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, anything else? You guys are awesome. Man, fist bumps, hugs. We've got to do this in person. I keep saying that every time. We're gonna do some in-person retreats. They're gonna be the best. Okay, thanks for your questions. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for being awesome, intentional parents, for being here and for caring enough to really want to level up. Rachel and I wholeheartedly believe that a small army of intentional parents who are trying to level up and have extraordinary marriages and extraordinary families can change the world.
And will change the world.
And will change the world. We're radiating out awesomeness.
It's not going to be the politicians.
Nope. It'll come from families.
It's going to be the intentional parents.
Yep. Love it. So you're part of that army. Love you guys. You're the best. So have a fantastic week and month. Stay active in the Facebook group. Ask questions. And get excited for the last few marriage videos and then to start March about parenting. Okay. Love you guys. You're awesome. Reach upward.